Hey y'all, Scott here, and brace yourselves because I have natural selections of bitch, isn't it? Competition has been a key aspect of gaming since the very beginning, so it's no surprise that early on, video game competition events were way a thing. Early examples include Atari's Sword Quest competitions and the organization Twin Galaxies keeping records of gaming high scores as early as 1981. But one of the most iconic is definitely the Nintendo World Championships 1990. This competition is legendary for its ties to pop culture and the value of its memorabilia, but many may not know of Nintendo's other competitive events held afterwards. So today we'll be taking a look back at not only the Nintendo World Championships, but Nintendo's other big competitions that followed. Now, none of the game cartridges that were used in these competitions have been officially re-released via digital stores, so the only way we can play them nowadays is through Jesus! Or through unofficial reproduction carts. These were created by Retro USB, and these things rock. They're incredibly well made and come with instruction manuals with a hearty dose of information not only relating to the games, but the competitions as well. Keep in mind though, if you're interested in picking these up, some newer aftermarket NES and SNES consoles may have trouble reading repro carts. In 1990, Nintendo wanted to absolutely rock the world with the greatest gaming event out there, the Nintendo World Championships. Nintendo wanted to go all out with this thing. They hired the same group who worked on the opening ceremonies for the Olympics to set up the competition arena, for God's sake. They wanted this thing to be huge. The competition was mainly inspired by the 1989 movie The Wizard, which was a butterball of a family movie focused on a little boy named Jimmy. He had PTSD after the tragic death of his sister, however he had some insane skills at NES games. And fast forwarding 80 minutes, we'll show you Jimmy competing in Video Armageddon, a video game competition that actually unveiled Super Mario Bros. 3 to North America. For some reason, Jimmy knew the secret to achieving the warp whistle, but hey, I'm not gonna read too much into it. What am I, one of those fabled virgins I'm always hearing about? The Nintendo World Championships was inspired by the event in the movie and definitely took a few key ideas from it, such as the finals taking place at Universal Studios. The competition started on March 8th, 1990, as Nintendo went on a cross-country road trip setting shop up in various different cities for players to compete for a chance to become a finalist. The event was organized by 3 different areas: the competition arena, the power walk, and the super stage, with players being grouped by under 11, 12 to 17, and 18 and over. The competition arena housed 102 stations with the Nintendo World Championships game cartridge playable. Players would play to achieve the highest score, and those who succeeded the most would move on. The Power Walk housed 120 game stations that were filled to the brim with new and upcoming Nintendo games ripe for the playing. And the Super Stage was live entertainment on repeat, including music, game tips, game previews, and more. The big finale of the event took place on December 7th through the 9th in 1990 at Universal Studios. There was no definitive winner of the championships, just 3 winners from each age group, that being Jeff Hansen for 11 and under, Thor Ackerland for 12 to 17, and Robert Whitman for 18 and over. Thor Ackerland is basically Darwinism with thumbs because he won the most out of everybody, scoring over an insane 2,800,000 points. Other contestants would receive all different kinds of prizes such as NWC merch and scholarship money, while the 3 top winners went home with a 1990 Geo Metro, 40-inch television, Gold Mario Trophy, a $10,000 savings bond, and the only one we give a piss about to this day, the cartridge. 90 finalists were given the Nintendo World Championships 1990 game cartridge, which is what the entirety of this competition surrounded. This cartridge features 3 games: Super Mario Bros., Rad Racer, and Tetris. Dip switches on the outside change up the time limit for the competition, but the standard time limit used in the championships was 6 minutes 21 seconds. To start up, you have to press start on the second controller, and you're flung into Super Mario Bros., where you have to collect 50 coins as quickly as possible. Once the 50th coin is achieved, you're flung into Rad Racer, where you simply have to finish the race. And then the final game, Tetris, where you just have to rack up as many points as possible. There's loads of stress that can go into this, but the player has to keep in mind the score multipliers. Mario is multiplied by 1, Rad Racer by 10, and Tetris by 25. So you really want to get through Mario and Rad Racer as quickly as possible to get to Tetris. This cartridge is considered the holy grail of gaming. There are 2 variants out there, one in a gray cartridge that was used in competitions and were given to finalists, and the gold cartridge a la The Legend of Zelda that was given out as a special Nintendo Power giveaway. The gray cartridge is limited to 90 copies, while the gold cartridge is limited to 26. While other games are definitely much more rare, even other Nintendo competition cartridges, the Nintendo World Championships 1990 cartridge is just obtainable enough that it makes it more iconic and desirable to most. Now that's of course in comparison to something like the Nintendo Campus Challenge 1991 cartridge, where only one of them exists. I mean, sorry, but none of us are really gonna ever own that. With just over 100 copies of the cartridge in existence, it makes NWC 1990 a pipe dream, but definitely a possibility in a game collection. A mere 1 year after the Nintendo World Championships, Nintendo came back with yet another competition, albeit a bit smaller than the World Championships. The Nintendo Campus Challenge 1991 took place at almost 60 campuses and was mainly targeted at college students. 3 stages similarly to NWC 1990 were utilized here, with one being used for competition and the other 2 for demo stations featuring NES and Game Boy games. The game cartridge used for this is structured almost identically to the Nintendo World Championships 1990 game, with the same intertitle music, graphics, and 6-minute 21-second time limit, but now with different games. Super Mario Bros. 3, Pinbot, and Dr. Mario. Mario 3, collect 25 coins, Pinbot, score 100,000 points, and Dr. Mario, play for the most points. Mario 3 was multiplied by 10, Pinbot by 1, and Dr. Mario by 100. The cartridge is at least a solid 1,500 acres rarer than an NWC cart because there is only one known to be in existence at the moment. However, this event and cartridge don't hold nearly as much value as NWC to most collectors out there. Plus, look at this thing. Yikes. The final winner was Stephen Lucas with a swift 2,394,130 points. The Nintendo Campus Challenge struck again in 1992, this time being the first SNES competition. This was even smaller than Campus Challenge 91, with only 35 college campuses being graced with this thick honkin' cartridge. Campus Challenge 1992 featured Super Mario World, F-Zero, and Pilotwings. Super Mario World, you had to collect 50 coins, F-Zero, you had to complete 2 laps, and Pilotwings, you had to land on 2 targets. Super Mario World was multiplied by 1, F-Zero by 100, and Pilotwings by 10,000. The overall winner of the competition, Jeff Hansen, won a solid $10,000. Powerfest 94 was also coined as the World Championships 2, which made sense. While it wasn't as big as the original, it was still bigger than the campus challenges. Powerfest was held across a slew of cities to find finalists. Players would play on the Powerfest 94 cart, which included the Super Mario All-Stars remake of Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, Super Mario Kart, and Ken Griffey Jr. Presents Major League Baseball. In the Lost Levels, the objective was to beat the first level. In Super Mario Kart, it was to finish 5 laps, and Ken Griffey Jr. it was to get as many home runs as possible. Lost Levels was multiplied by 1, Mario Kart multiplied your coin total by 1,000 and added your finishing position score, and in Ken Griffey Jr. the total distance by 100 and number of home runs by 10,000. A bit too complicated of a scoring system in my opinion. The finals of Powerfest 94 were featured in San Diego and had players split up in teams, being the Cyclones, Hurricanes, Tornadoes, and the Typhoons. When the Tornadoes reigned supreme, the Donkey Kong Country competition cartridge was cracked out to see who would be crowned the true winner, that being Mike LaRossi. Nowadays, there only exist 2 Powerfest cartridges, with the rest being reused for parts by Nintendo. After years of being out of the competition game, Nintendo struck back starting in 2014. NES Remix 2 had a special feature for those who had NES Remix 1 on the Wii U. The Nintendo World Championships Remix was unlocked and was a tribute to both the Nintendo World Championships 1990 and the Nintendo Campus Challenge 1991. Collect 50 coins in Super Mario Bros., collect 25 coins in Super Mario Bros. 3, and rack up the points in Dr. Mario. You could then post your score online via Miiverse. A year later, Nintendo decided to embrace the 25th anniversary of NWC and announced the event's return in 2015. The event basically returned in name only though. The structure was vastly different. Players would go to select Best Buy locations to play the NWC Remix found in Ultimate NES Remix on the Nintendo 3DS. The highest scorers were then contestants in the event alongside some players specifically invited by Nintendo. The event consisted of multiple mystery Nintendo games being played, while the lowest scoring players would be kicked off each round. This included games such as Balloon Fight, The Legend of Zelda, Splatoon, Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, Mario Kart 8, and Blast Ball, which was announced at the event and later turned out to be Metroid Prime Federation Force, and everybody at piss. The final game was the then unreleased Super Mario Maker, where the contestants had to make their way through Nintendo employee-made levels. John Numbers ended up reigning supreme and was awarded a trophy and an autographed new 3DS XL. Taking a year off, Nintendo brought the Nintendo World Championships back once again in 2017, solidifying it as more than just a one-time thing. The structure was very similar to that of 2015's show, but now with a greater variety of games, with everything from ARMS to Bird and Beans to Mario Party 2. I gotta say, I enjoyed the weirder, more obscure games in the event much more than the more competitive ones. I mean, it's not every day you see a competitive run of Super Mario Bros. Deluxe's multiplayer. The final game was predictably Super Mario Odyssey. While 2015's winner John Numbers made it to the final round, it was Thomas G who ended up winning this year's event. The Nintendo World Championships and all the other events are wicked cool pockets of Nintendo and gaming history, but enough about that. Let's see how my NWC 1990 score compares to that of Thor Ackerland's. Well, I'll leave it to Nintendo to out me as a giant fucking pussy.